So good evening, good afternoon. We have Canada, we have France, we have Luxembourg, and we have Germany. So a really international call. And of course, Mr. Dirk Sanden, the Enlightened Accountant. Welcome, sir, to the call. Thank you for taking your time to do this conversation this evening.
Thank you for inviting me. It's always great to sit on the hot chair.
Exactly. So, what just so people know, this is the hot seat is actually this is the first one we're doing of sort of structured interviews, and my job is to track down interesting, exciting people, ask them some questions, and put them on the spot a little bit. But I think it's always interesting to learn from people in different categories or different sectors, different businesses, understand how they've got there, what they do, and the tips they've got. Then we'll have some live Q&A at the end. So, Dirk, thank you. So before I kick off with the questions, just please, for anybody who maybe doesn't know you, I can't believe many people don't know you, but just give us a quick headline update. Who's Dirk Sanden? Give us the headlines.
Yeah, just a quick summary. My name is Dirk, living here in Luxembourg, working here in Luxembourg already for 15 years now. I am working in the alternatives investment fund industry as a director in sales and business development. So that's actually what I have not learned. Interestingly, I learned from my profession. I'm an accountant,
Yeah.
but I made for me back then, a very courageous step from the operations towards the commercial piece. That's probably also something that we will talk about.
Yeah.
Why I did this and what was the motivation to do so. So since then, it's already for now 7-8 years. I'm really enjoying myself in selling, in also leveraging my potential when it comes to communication, understanding obviously the business, and moreover enjoying myself at work.
And I think it's an interesting point, and we will come back to that. I think you made the switch from what I would call, if like operations back office at a big financial institution, financial organization, and you took the leap of going into front end commercial relationship and sales, and that's a big jump for anybody. But that, specifically from an accounting point of view, if you like, if there's a stereotype of accountants, just to get it out of the way, is that accountants don't sell, accountants don't build relationships, and accountants aren't good with people. I mean, you've absolutely flipped that on its head. So just talk us through that a little bit. Where did that motivation come from? Why on earth did you do it? You were safe and secure, doing a great job in the back office, and you jumped into the fray, if you like. So where did that come from?
Yeah, it was interesting. Around 7-8 years ago, I was in a position where I was pretty well. I was really in my comfort zone. I was very safe. I was working as an accountant.
Yeah.
I was heading operational teams in operations, really in the back office, and that was my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Very simple. That was my comfort zone. So, nevertheless, there was something in the back of my mind where I was wondering there must be something more.
Yeah.
And this voice, this was not a kind of wake up call. I don't know. But sometimes you are, I don't know, you're getting fired from your job, and this is then this big event that triggers something, or you get I don't know, bad diagnosis from your doctor or something like that. It was not like this. It was rather a voice in the back of my mind, and this voice was getting over years louder and louder and louder, to the point simply where I couldn't ignore it anymore.
Yeah.
And then, of course, that triggered the question. So if what I'm currently doing is my comfort zone, but there's still, if I'm listening to this voice, there's still something more waiting for me.
Yeah.
What is it then? What is that? So that was an open question that I raised to myself.
Okay.
And maybe just going back to when I studied at university, I still see it. I see myself after having passed the bachelor, studied a master, wanted to study the Master of Business Administration, wanted to become the Master of Business Administration. So after having passed my bachelor, I needed to choose the subjects for my master studies. I was literally standing in the university in one of these big halls, and in front of me I had two doors, one to the left, one to the right. One to the left was for accountancy, tax, controlling, I mean, all that stuff that nobody likes. To the right, there was the door to subscribe in for marketing sales.
Ah, okay.
So I was standing literally in between these two doors to make a decision. What is it that I want to study? So now you have to understand, I studied in Nuremberg, which is a state of Bavaria. Bavaria has fantastic beer gardens. And it was summer, and my friends already were waiting outside, sitting in the beer garden. They were waiting for me. So just you need to understand that. So now I'm standing there. On the left side, as I said, the accountancy stuff, there was no queuing.
I'm not surprised. Anyway, sorry, go on.
No queuing. On the right side, though, there was a queue of around 200 meters. People wanted to subscribe to marketing and sales.
Okay.
So now I had a problem. On the one hand, I was had the tendency to go to the right side and also to subscribe for marketing and sales. On the other hand, my friends were waiting outside in the beer garden. And I knew if I'm going the long way and I'm subscribing for marketing, that was only entitled me to join a test that I had to pass to be allowed to start the studies.
Right. Okay.
So long story short, I went for the left lane. Well, actually, there was no lane. I could go directly in the room. I could subscribe directly for accountancy, for controlling, for tax, for all that stuff, which was a fast process.
Sure.
Half an hour later, I was sitting in the beer garden.
So I might sort of condense that down. You chose your career path in order to get to the pub more quickly. Is that about sum it up?
That's about it, exactly.
So great.
And of course, obviously, I'm always a rational guy. So I was thinking about I was projecting myself 2-3 years later, when I have to compete with all the guys on the right side versus with competing pretty much no one on the left side.
So there's a logic involved as well. You sort of justified it logically as well. So emotional decision justified logically. Yeah. Okay, that sounds normal. That's perfectly sensible. But so a genuine question. When you look back, so from that point, you obviously qualified and you jumped into work for one of the big four, I think it was, when you started out your career. And obviously you worked your way through. You're very successful, very effective, and you ended up working in Luxembourg. And then you had this sort of voice in the back of your mind saying, time to make a shift. Do you regret that decision, or did all roads lead to where you are now? Or would you go back and change anything if you could, do you think?
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm not a fan of regretting anything that I did in my past, because you can't change it anyhow.
Yeah.
Plus the journey that I've started years ago, a journey of being more aware and being more self-reflecting about what I'm doing, also suggests that I want to live the present time. Yeah. Right. No regrets about what I did in the past, not being afraid of what's coming and what's still waiting for me. Simply enjoying what I'm currently doing. For example, now sitting here with you and just sitting enjoying the hot seat here. So, but if I'm now in hindsight see what happened, yes, I followed the accountancy track. I started my career in the big four. I did everything that I had to do to become successful in, let's call it, material terms. Still, just before probably I turned 45, 46, I realized that there was something back then when I was in the university, when I had to make a decision. So let's reflect on that. And what is it what I now want to do? Or back then, let's say a couple of years ago, what is it that I want to do? And then I made the decision, well, I want to change. I want to move to the commercial side of the business, because I think I like that. I can connect the dots. I can build successful operational models. I can sell these to clients. This is what I want to do. Right? So that was a little bit the voice that I listened to, and then I said, okay, then let's try that one.
So, and again, I think everybody listening to this, I think yourself as well, I think we all recognize that at some point we all have that voice in the back of our mind, whether it's to do with personal relationships or business or career or whatever it is. But very few people actually act on it or take it seriously. They tend to, turn the volume down, move on, and sort of just tolerate stuff. What was if there was there a defining moment, do you recall, or a situation, or why did you make the leap? Because it was you not only went from back office to front office, you changed organization as well. So that's a big shift to make when you're 40 something, if you like. There's certainly inherent risks associated with that. So what was the trigger point for you?
Well, obviously you cannot I cannot answer this question without making reference to what happened at the same time with my life in general, not only my professional life.
Sure.
Because until that point in time, I understood that was normal for me, that I had in principle two lives.
Yeah.
I had a personal life and had a professional life. And when I got in the morning into the office, I put on my manager mask and I was Dirk, the manager.
Yeah.
And when I left the office, I put the mask down and I was Dirk, the private person. So to use a picture, I was actually living the life of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Okay, yeah, interesting.
With the difference that obviously I didn't kill anyone during the night,
no,
but I killed myself all day long.
Right, so, interesting. That's a really interesting point. Really interesting.
And that was something that I realized there's something wrong. Because how is it possible that I'm not allowed to be myself 24/7?
Yeah.
How is it possible?
Yeah.
And that triggered the question, okay, if I want to be authentic 24/7, what does it actually mean, being authentic? Who is Dirk? What is Dirk standing for?
Yeah.
What is very important for Dirk? What is it that Dirk still wants to achieve? I mean, quite a number of fundamental questions popped up out of the sudden.
Absolutely.
And I was literally sitting and I was working on these questions every day in the morning, 5 o'clock, before the rest of the family woke up, sitting in my living room. In the beginning, the first couple of days, I was literally sitting in front of a blank piece of paper.
Yeah.
I only had my questions noted down.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find really the answers because they were so deep questions. So I started really to study myself. I was reading wisdom books. I was reading, writing, reflecting, until I had it straight for me. Who's that person, Dirk? What kind of values am I standing for? What really matters to me? And all these questions, by the end, I had the answers. So now I had a pretty good understanding of what does it mean to work and acting in an authentic way.
So, right? So how long did that take you? I mean, that's quite a journey of, and I think for a lot of people in business and professions and career, we get caught up in the flow of expectation and habit. And I think it's a fabulous analogy that you use, the Jekyll and Hyde, that you didn't kill anybody at night, but you were slowly killing yourself during the day. And to get to that point where you start to write down recognize where the true Dirk is in this. And how long did that take? What length of process was that for you?
And it took me at least a year.
Wow. Okay, that's a big.
And I don't want to. Sorry, I don't want to demotivate anyone who's listening to that one. But every single minute I spent on this subject, reflecting on these fundamental questions, was a minute well spent. And it is still ongoing. It's a journey. I haven't arrived. I did a big step ahead, but it is ongoing. I'm obviously still reminding myself, what am I standing for? And it's to really live up to that. Because I mean, I still remember my first meeting in the professional environment with my bosses around the table, and I dared for the first time to speak up. That was probably one of my scariest moments in my career.
Interesting.
Because I thought I have something to contribute to the whole discussion, but before I was just taking it in, took it as an order and processed it. Now this time I thought, probably there is a perspective missing here that I want to add based on my experience and my professional background,
Yeah.
to add something to the discussion. That was scary. But on the other hand, it triggered a discussion in the room, and I understood, oh, probably my opinion is worth it, and it's a valuable
Okay.
opinion,
Yes.
and it adds and it contributes to find a better solution.
Okay. Okay. So this, I mean, this sort of process of a year of sort of figuring out who's Dirk and what does Dirk want and how do you fit. Then you sort of looked for an opportunity to find did you try and fix it within your existing organization first? Was there a different place for you within the existing company, or did it actually need you to move and leave and go to another organization? Obviously you left and moved, but did you try to fix it first or find another space for yourself first, or not?
Yeah, I mean, the first big move was, of course, that within the same company, I moved from operations towards the commercial piece of the part of the business.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was already very scary because I left my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Again, very scary, very, very scary. But as I said, there was this voice. I knew what I wanted, so I followed it, and I got out of my comfort zone. I left the safe harbor, and I set the sail for uncharted waters. That was really interesting, scary, but very interesting. So that was my first step.
Yeah.
Still staying at the same company.
Okay.
But then more and more, as I got it straight, what I'm standing for and what are my base values, and how probably also I would run a business, I realized that there's probably a mismatch, and maybe I have to move on.
Yeah.
To find a different environment that has a different, or that is more mapping with my values. So then another leap and another, I set the sails again,
Yeah.
left my comfort zone again, and went for another company where I'm now working for 5 years already, and I'm very happy.
So this, in terms of you went from back office to front office, doing the commercial, and move your job, moved role, moved companies, a lot of shifts, coming outside of your comfort zone, as you said. How does that your approach to your personal development and your personal understanding of yourself and your ability, how's that then shown up in the work that you now do commercially? Because I know you probably won't say this, but I think you are probably, I'm going to say, one of the top people within your organization in terms of relationship with clients, attracting new business, developing the business. You are doing a fabulous job without going through any numbers at all. But how is your journey of enlightenment, we'll come on to in a second ago, how have you translated that into your ability to do the job that you now do? How's that shown up for you?
It's probably to answer it with one single word, it's probably clarity.
Okay.
Because it's so much easier if you know what you are standing for and what you still want to achieve. And you find an environment that resonates with that, that it's much easier for you to clearly set out your goals, to define your goals and what you want to achieve and what is still on your to-do list that you still want to develop.
Yeah.
And once you have this mapped out, the rest is just execution. I'm sorry, I'm just saying just. It's of course not just, but I think the big piece is to define where you want to be tomorrow and the day after. And if you have clarity about yourself, what you are standing for, it's much easier to define how this should then be reflected in your environment at work, but also in your private life. Because that's probably the differentiator here.
And do you find, and this is, I think, for people participating now and also watching sort of later, most of us are probably in the business of running our own company, working within as a senior level within an organization. At some point, we're working with clients and network with people or leadership and teams, this sort of thing. What's your experience of, and it's a loaded question, what's your experience of your ability to sort of resonate with other people and attract them to you based not on your ability to make the phone call, but in terms of your ability to energy, being positive, being congruent, being that level of, when Dirk shows up, because I've seen you do it, I think it's a gift that you have. How do you do that? How do you have that ability to attract people, build their trust, build their confidence in the world that you're working in? Because you do that regularly, if you like. What's that superpower you have there, do you think?
I think that's a very interesting question, because I think the more I'm studying and the more I'm learning and the more I'm exposing myself to new things,
Mm-hmm.
the more I understand that I have no clue. This is very.
We won't send the recording to your boss, all right? We'll keep that between us.
No, I mean it's you. The moment you step ahead and you step into another new thing,
Yeah.
you kind of step into a new universe of knowledge.
Yes. Yeah.
And the more often you do this, the more you understand that, hey, there's so much out there that I still don't know.
Yeah.
So what I want to say with that is, I think it's humility.
Mm-hmm.
If you stay humble, no matter how successful you are,
mm-hmm.
I would even say it's the opposite.
Yeah.
I think humility is a cornerstone of being successful at work, but also in private life. Because if you have the capacity to take yourself back, your ego out of the game, and just trying to connect with your clients, with your colleagues, in terms of asking yourself the question, how can I be of service?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How can I be of service? What can I do for you? Is there something where I can add value to your business?
Yeah.
So it's not about me, it's about the client.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about me, not about me, it's about my colleagues.
Yeah.
Because my colleagues obviously also once in a while they have a question. So no matter how much work I have, I love to be there and also to help them if I can.
Yeah.
Because on the other hand, I also do the same. I go to my colleagues same when I have a question.
Sure.
So in summary, I think it's important to stay humble.
Yeah.
You can be ambitious. You can have ambitious goals, right?
Sure.
Because you still want to develop.
Mm-hmm.
But if you combine this with being humble and make all the things that you're doing, make it for your clients, for your colleagues, for your boss, for whoever is working with you. I think that's the big point, because that also brings you automatically in a mindset to try to understand, to get to the core of where's the problem on the other side.
Yeah.
So trying to step into the shoes of your counterpart, of your client or your prospect, and understand, okay, what is the issue here? And then trying to find a solution together, and then working on that. So that automatically takes you and your success out of the game. Funny enough, the success takes care of itself.
I think I'm going to say it was Zig Ziglar, and people maybe listening or maybe correct me. I think it was Zig Ziglar who said something like, "In life, you can have whatever you want if you help enough people get what they want." And I think that sort of summarized, I think, is what we do, because we're all in the service business. We're all helping people at different levels and different things. So some people are in the soap dispensing business, or the accounting business, or the office and building fit out business. It doesn't actually matter. Fundamentally, we're just helping people get what they want or achieve what they want, and we do that. Then that's where our success comes from, perhaps.
Yeah, it's a little bit like, I can't remember exactly the quote, but it's like, success for me is planting trees under which shadows other people can rest.
Yes, there you go. Yes, exactly. Yes.
Right. So that's a little bit the thing, that make things, try to help other people, just try to be of service, and then automatically you will be successful.
So, coming towards the end, or bringing a couple more questions for you, if that's okay. There's three things I'd like you to describe. First of all, first one is, what if there was a book recommendation that you could make to anybody listening? Just one, not yours. We'll come on to that second. Not yours just yet. Don't get carried away. What is there a book? What book would you recommend as a reading point? Just go and read this to open up some possibilities and things like that. Which one would you go for?
Well, that's interesting. I mean, I have, of course, I read so many books. I mean, I can put books, I don't know, from Dr. Wayne Dyer, for example, which was in the beginning, that really helped me a lot
Mm-hmm.
to get into the idea of, hey, what is that? What is life about?
Yeah.
What actually currently reading is a book that tries to combine philosophy and quantum physics. Which is
Only you would do this to me. Okay, go on, please. All right.
the book is called Reality Plus, and it's really really interesting. Sometimes it's mind breaking. Sometimes I really wonder, really, am I? I mean, it's a little bit like, you know, when you, I don't know whether you like the movie Matrix, but this book is a
Yeah.
little bit about, should I take the blue pill or the red pill, right? So this
Right.
is a little bit like this.
Okay. So, and what was it? Was just refresh. What was it called? What's the title again?
It's a Reality Plus.
Reality Plus. Love it. Okay, great. So, thank you for that. And for people listening, watching, or reflecting on this, if there was one tip or piece of advice or one thing that you would say that people could do to improve their success or their balance or their happiness, or I think a really interesting point that you made is this, being authentic, the congruence between who you are and what you do. What's a good start point? Where would you suggest people can just make a start on this journey for themselves?
Well, my personal start of the journey was, I was literally asking myself, how do I define success?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because the way society defines success is, based on my experience, is
Mm-hmm.
mainly based on material stuff, on financial stuff.
Okay.
So if you ask the society whether you are successful or not, it kind of depends. Do you have the money on the account? Can you afford, I don't know, vacation in exotic places? Do you have a house, a car, name it, right? So that's a little bit the measure, the KPI
Mm-hmm.
from the society perspective. And I, years ago, when I was exactly at that point, that was exactly my starting point. How do
Right. Okay.
I personally define success? And while obviously we're living in a financial world, so also this is part of the game,
Mm-hmm.
but there's so much more to it. I mean, I added lots of things like gratefulness, humility.
Mm-hmm.
I added obviously love. I added, for example, peace of mind. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, these are the things
Yeah.
that I define today. Also, I added it to the definition of success. So
Sure.
my recommendation is, find your own very personal definition of success, because
Mm-hmm.
then you have a goal, right?
Fabulous. That makes absolute sense. Fabulous. Thank you. And final point, and I knew we were going to do this bit anyway, but you are not only the world's #1 commercial success in financial services in Luxembourg, you're also a published author as well. So just talk us through the book, what it's called, and where people can get one from as well. So this is your
Yeah,
time to plug now.
I
Here
know
we
you
go.
can see it. You
Oh,
can see
there
it.
you go. Good man. Good man. Well done.
I have I have it here. Obviously, it's your lighthouse journey. Uh,
Excellent.
I wrote this book a couple of years ago, as actually as a result of my journey that I started.
Yes.
And you can buy this book obviously on Amazon
Yeah.
and a couple of other bookshops, but Amazon is probably the most famous. Um, it was actually the result of my journey that I've started.
Yeah.
I said that I spent a year on reflecting, researching, reading, writing to really understand what Dirk Sanden stands for.
Yeah.
And after this reflection phase, Well, there was a famous coach, which I think is currently interviewing myself, and I think
Not,
and
not, not
he
that bloke, not that bloke again. For
yeah
goodness sake. Okay, got
he
it.
and he actually had this fabulous idea that I need to write a book, and I thought back then, yeah, well, that's a good one, that's a good joke, right? So, but the more he was insisting, or actually you were insisting, the more I I let this idea trickle down in my mind. So as a result, I wrote this book again, something completely out of my comfort zone.
Yes.
But I can recommend to everyone, if you really want to get, again, I'm using the word clarity,
Hmm.
if you really want to understand what you really want,
Hmm.
write it down, put it in a journal,
Yeah.
get clarity about what is it that you want.
Hmm.
And by the end, you can write a book. And I did it because I wrote the book, first of all, for me. But the more I was writing and was in the process of writing, the more I was discussing the idea with family, friends,
Hmm.
colleagues. And I just tested the idea because by the end, this book is not only my story, I turned it actually into a concept.
Yeah.
Everyone can use. Everyone can use that concept, personalize it, and come up with your own personal outcome.
Hmm.
So that was, and I'm still obviously I'm having tons of discussions with people giving me feedback on the book, giving me feedback on how successful it is and
Hmm.
how it works, this concept for other people. So fabulous. I love it because it always opens the door for discussions. And whenever it
Absolutely.
comes to personal development and also professional development, I love to have these discussions. So whenever someone wants to discuss with me, obviously you can find me on LinkedIn. You can also find me obviously via David. Again, you can find this book on Amazon. So happy to discuss.
Fabulous. So, Dirk, thank you. And again, thank you for your time as well. A fascinating conversation as always. So, for everybody listening, watching, please contact Dirk through LinkedIn is probably the easiest. Just obviously Dirk Sanden, and I'm sure he'll connect and just say hello, say thank you, buy his book, find it, track it down, and have a conversation. So, Dirk, a pleasure as always. Thank you for your time. We'll wrap it up there, and we're going to go to the Q&A, which we're not going to record. So let me just pause recording, and we'll go back to the guys. But Dirk, for now, thank you.
Thank you very much, David.